That was the moment when I fell in love with One Piece, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone on that one. Before this, we had a few really heartbreaking moments, like Sanji and Zeph's backstory and their goodbye, and Zoro losing Kuina. And while those moments are great in their own right, I think it's incredibly difficult to argue that they had the same kind of weight or impact of this moment. In the past, I've done videos talking about the sides of Zoro and Usopp which tend to go underlooked, and it's been a hot minute, so I decided to jump back into the One Piece seat to talk about someone who is easily one of my favorite characters in early One Piece, and who is certainly instrumental in developing my love for the series. Today, we're going to talk about what is at the core of Nami's character. When you think of Nami, it's easy to jump to her being greedy. It's one of her most obvious and in-your-face traits after all. However, her obsession with money definitely has some basis in her backstory. Nami was an orphan who was found by a marine named Bellemere. She and another girl named Nojiko were adopted by Bellemere, and they would begin to live together in Kokoyashi village. While there, they lived a mostly happy life. But things weren't all tangerines and cream though. Because they were fairly poor, a strain began to develop between Nami and Bellemere, to the point where Nami yells at her and says that they aren't even a real family.
You're not even our real mother! You're just some lady who's taking care of us! You wish we'd never come here so you could buy clothes and food for yourself!
This was exacerbated when the Arlong pirates showed up to take control over the island, demanding massive taxes for each person living there. And when a family was barely scraping by as it is, this became something that was insurmountable. When it came down to it, Bellemere had enough money for either herself or her 2 children. And naturally, she chose her kids, resulting in Arlong executing her and kidnapping Nami to work on sea charts for him. However, Nami decides to make a deal with Arlong. While this is heartbreaking in its own right, it also added to the idea that Nami had that money was incredibly important. Those with it could survive, while those without it would die. Eventually, Nami decides to make a deal with Arlong. She'll join his crew and raise 100 million berries to buy back the village, and that brings us up to the beginning of One Piece, where she meets Luffy. They eventually get to her island, he gives her his hat, and he goes, "Sharkman, don't make my navigator do tears." Then pew pew bang bang, Arlong goes down and Nami is free. I'm not gonna sit here and explain how the first saga of One Piece goes. You've either seen it, or you're probably in the wrong video. Anyways, that whole thing acts as the basis of who she is. At her core, Nami's surface theme is manipulation. Her whole time working with Arlong is spent lying to and stealing from pirates. Later in the story, her abilities also tend to fall into this category, where she gets the Climatact, a weapon which allows her to make illusions to fool people or even manipulate the weather. And Ohara has a great video on the theme of manipulation in Nami's character, which I will link in the description. However, what I'm looking at in this video is how that contrasts with who she really is and what her main function in the story is. I wouldn't exactly say that she's a manipulator, but instead, I like the word navigator for her. It's no coincidence that that's her role on the crew. Sure, she can be manipulative, but she can also act as a guide to help people through turbulent times and to become the best versions of themselves. When it comes to Nami, yes, she has the ability to manipulate others, but at the end of the day, it isn't the scenes which show how sneaky or manipulative that Nami can be that really stand out to me as the ones that show off who she really is. And the moments that we see Nami's true self stand out are often among some of the most powerful and some of my favorites in the series. The first time we really get a glimpse of who she is was something I already talked about briefly. In Kokoyashi village, Nami's money has been stolen from her by the Marines under the orders of Arlong, and she's left with nothing. She can't trust her deal with Arlong, everyone she knows and loves just charged off to fight the monster, and she turned away the closest things to friends that she's ever had. Despite this, Luffy still approaches her, and she begins to realize that there is no point in putting up that front anymore, and that's where she turns to him and asks for help. And then of course, Luffy puts his hat on her head and yells out that of course he's going to help her. There's a power to the scenes where Nami is open and honest, and while Nami is a phenomenal character in her own right, I think that the true power of her character comes in the form of allowing others to perform and shine in ways that they normally wouldn't. Even when we look at Nami's role on the ship, it's a meme that Luffy and Zoro would never have made it anywhere without her, but there's a lot of truth in that, and it extends to beyond just navigating. While Luffy might be the captain, 9 times out of 10, it isn't him who's delegating on board. It's usually Nami fulfilling that role. And it's Nami who allows this group of idiots, and Robin, to act as a real crew. At her core, Nami is a character who brings out the best in others, which, again, I guess could be considered a form of manipulation in a writing sense. Another moment I wanted to talk about is on Drum Island. Again, if you've ever heard me talking about my favorite One Piece moments, you know I absolutely adore Luffy climbing the Drum Rockies. And there are a lot of reasons for that. However, this all starts way before Luffy ever does anything even close to the mountain. There's this moment back in Dalton's house where Dalton is explaining that Dr. Kureha likely won't be around anytime soon, and their best chance of finding her would be to climb the Rockies. Luffy offers to carry Nami up them, and literally every other person in the house says that he's an idiot. Nami's temperature is something like 105, and they all warn him that she will die if he tries to carry her out there. However, Nami, without hesitation, just says, "Take care of me, Captain," putting complete faith in him. Keep in mind, Nami's character not that long ago had been one who didn't trust anyone. But only a few islands later, and she is willing to literally put her life in Luffy's hands. And of course, he doesn't disappoint, putting himself through extreme pain and danger while doing everything he can to keep her safe. And after he reaches the peak of the Drum Rockies, barely alive himself, he tells Kureha to take care of his friends. One of the big reasons I love this scene is that it exemplifies the idea that when one of his crewmates need him, Luffy will go through just about anything for them. However, this scene also shows something great for Nami as well. It shows how she's becoming less walled off. She's opening up and accepting those around her, and she's realizing that she isn't alone and can even trust these new friends. Even more important than that, though, is that when she actually puts in the effort to allow herself to rely on them, they won't let her down and her faith won't be misplaced. Now, the last moment I want to talk about is over on Fishman Island. As I mentioned, Nami brings out the best in those around her, but it's in this moment where she comes to terms with her own trauma that I think she shines the most. We often look at her through this lens of what Arlong put her through. I know when I think about telling people about Nami, I always jump back to her backstory right away. But that's probably the wrong way to look at her character. So for this one, let's jump to what might be the most important scene in the series for her character development. The crew is just meeting up with Jinbei, and he's about to tell them a story, beginning with how 11 years ago he freed Arlong from prison and allowed him to run rampant on the East Blue, directly causing all of the trauma and pain that Nami was forced to go through. Now, Nami hates fishmen. Well, at least she did. She mentions how her feelings for Arlong will never change, but at the same time, before going to Sabaody, she had no idea how fishmen were discriminated against and tormented by humanity. Jinbei goes into the tales of Fisher Tiger and Queen Otohime, and he talks about how they each were beacons of hope for humanity and fishmen to get along, but how each tale ended in tragedy. And afterwards, he mentions how he released Arlong because at one point, they were as close as brothers. However, he would never be able to rein Arlong in, so he considered himself responsible for everything that Arlong had done. Hearing these stories, Sanji suggests that Jinbei take his own life as payment for the pain that he has caused, and even Jinbei says that if that's the punishment Nami wants to see, then he would do so. But Nami stops him and just says to drop it, saying the only one that she hates at this point is Arlong, and that if Jinbei is a friend of Luffy's, then she already knows everything she needs to know about him, again showing the trust that she's given to her crew. Nami also rationalizes that without going through the torment Arlong put her through, she may never have met her friends. She says Arlong made her life a living hell, but because of the awful times that he made her go through, she became who she is now. She can't hate Jinbei just for being a fishman, and she asks that he doesn't pity her just for her past. She's fine with her past because she's happy in the present, releasing Jinbei from the guilt and hatred that he's held in his own heart for all of these years. A sentiment which embodies the hopes and dreams of both Otohime and Fisher Tiger, who wanted to move beyond their past and into the light with humanity where they could live together in peace. Something which Jinbei might have considered to be impossible. But here was Nami, experiencing all of the same hatred that fishmen go through, yet she was still able to hold her head up and look forward. accepting her past, and rather than being shackled by it like Fisher Tiger was, choosing to focus on the present and the future.
I'm fine with my past, because I'm happy in the present.
Nami is more than just a thief. She's more than just greedy, and she's more than a manipulator. Nami is a navigator. She directs people and helps them see the paths ahead of themselves when they feel like there might not be anywhere for them to go. She brings out the best in those around her, and watching her open up and learning to love both her friends and, more importantly, herself has always and will always remain to be some of the most powerful moments in the series. Living through trauma or some horrible experience like she has can be one of the most difficult things for anyone to go through. But in the moments where people learn to move forward and pick up the shattered pieces of their life to build something new, we often find something really beautiful. Yeah, her time under Arlong's thumb and the torture that he put her through are fundamental to her character. But her story doesn't stop there, and she shouldn't be defined by it.
You must find the strength inside you to always move on. And if you can smile in the face of it all, that is the greatest strength.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as well as consider checking out the Discord or Patreon in the link down below. As I mentioned, I'm also linking an Ohara video down there about the theme of manipulation in Nami's character, which you might enjoy as well. And finally, a big thank you goes out to our patrons, with our Dai Yokai Aikeruchu, Jacob Wiley, and Iffy Babes, our Yokai Anel Cruz, Bloodwolfmon, Jamie Heck, Joker Rose, Lucifina Akuma, and Sayo Arundel, and our Hanyo, Anthony Hogan, Brunette Thrasher, Kasim Salim, Love the Kiwi, Michael Greco, Nega Kitty, Randy Moseyman, Samantha Olson, Savage Camel, Simon Electric, and Kiwi Dog. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to stay excellent.